Imagine feeling deja vu, but on steroids. You travel to Thailand for the first time in your entire life. As you arrive, you have all different experiences, yet you have this overwhelming feeling that you've been here before. Not just reliving a single moment, but the entire experience. And not only have you done this before, but you've done it countless times. Now imagine 25% of people who go to Thailand experience this very same profound sense of familiarity. Wouldn't that be eerily strange? Well, there is a compound that does this quite consistently.
DMT. It is a psychedelic substance. It really makes you feel like what you're experiencing is the most truthful, honest, intense, meaningful thing you've ever encountered.
DMT, considered one of the world's most powerful psychedelic compounds, has one aspect that's particularly baffling: the strange sense of familiarity users often report.
Hang on a sec. I've been here before.
Making them feel as if they've entered an alternate reality they've visited before. It's like you enter into hyperspace for the first time and see these humanoid entities, and it's like seeing the boys again. Hey, long time no see. What's going on, Tom? It's been a while. How are you, mate? Yeah. Not bad, mate. Not bad. I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've been in here, but why do I feel like I've known you my whole life? Let's attempt to unpack this phenomenon. I'm being greeted by all these beings. They're not human, but they're oddly familiar. I know them as if they're family. They're telling me how happy they are to see me and that I found this technology to communicate with them again.
You feel? Sit. I am also sitting.
Before we dive deep into the strange DMT memory phenomenon, we have to talk about deja vu. Deja vu is French for already seen, which is the feeling that you've already experienced something that is actually happening for the first time. Science doesn't have a definite explanation for this phenomenon, but there are a few theories. Researchers hypothesize that deja vu occurs in the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory. But one study measuring brain activity via an MRI scan showed activity not in the hippocampus, but the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision making. The theories about deja vu range from your brain going slightly off track while processing information like a glitch, or linking an experience to a previous dream memory that might seem familiar. Then you've got the more wild theories like briefly crossing over to a parallel universe, or reincarnation, where deja vu is like a signal from your soul that you've been here before. In the book and show, The Boy Swallows Universe, deja vu is a warning from your higher self. It's like, hey, remember, you've done this thousands of times before. Please go this direction. We've lived this experience an infinite amount of times, and it's like we keep going back to this human experience until we figure it out and pass the game, I suppose.
Come find me when you wake up!
So I guess in this more out there theory, deja vu is like your soul warning you, don't go left, go right this time. Time Series B, which is the block universe theory, which by the way is the more accepted model of how time works in the scientific community, states that time, past, present, and future, all exist simultaneously. This makes our perceived experience of linear time an illusion. Even Einstein said that the distinction between past, present, and future is only an illusion, albeit a stubborn one. If deja vu is not just a neurological misfire that our conscious mind tries to make sense of, a hypothesis that I personally like to entertain is that deja vu is experiencing memories from the future. A kind of leakage or momentary awareness of another future timeline that has already happened. Because if time is an illusion, and there is no fundamental distinction between past, present, and future, that means that the future has already happened. It's already written. This is completely bonkers and highly speculative, of course, but it is an interesting hypothesis to play around with. Sigmund Freud Of course, linked patients who suffered through frequent cases of deja vu said this was because of some repressed desire for their mother's genitals or something. You know, classic Freud.
Mate, the way I see it, it all comes down to you wanting to your mother and kill your father.
But I like what Carl Jung had to say about deja vu. The sentiment du déjà vu is based, as I have found in a number of cases, on a foreknowledge in dreams. But we saw that this foreknowledge can also occur in the waking state. As always, when an external event touches on some unconscious knowledge, this knowledge can reach consciousness. The event is recognized as a deja vu, and one remembers a pre-existent knowledge about it. I was enchanted by this sight. It was a picture of something utterly alien and outside my experience. But on the other hand, a most intense sentiment du déjà vu. I had the feeling that I had already experienced this moment and had always known this world, which was separated from me only by distance in time. These experiences show that the factor in question, the archetype, is one and the same inside and outside the psyche. Or in other words, there is no outside to the collective psyche. In our ordinary mind, we are in the world of time and space, and within the separate individual psyche. In the state of the archetype, we are in the collective psyche, in a world system whose space-time categories are relatively or absolutely abolished. So this of course relates to the archetypes and the collective unconscious. And so when you experience deja vu, it's your mind recognizing a pattern that already exists. And so of course it feels very familiar, like you've lived it before. Sort of like tapping into our ancestral DNA narrative that's already there. It's already a part of us. Everything that's ever happened to human beings that came before us, those memories are still locked in there somewhere in the collective unconscious. And remember that archetypes are universal patterns, specifically motifs, which means that they have a beginning, middle, and end. So even if you're having this novel experience, seemingly for the first time, but because your mind recognizes an archetype, you already know how the story is going to play out. So in a weird sense, you have experienced it before. And this could also tie in with the whole time series B block universe theory. So maybe in a sense, you're recognizing a deep archetypical pattern within the collective unconscious. And at the same time, because time's a bit slippery, isn't it? You might be tapping into something, some future event. I don't know, like again, we're just theorizing here, just having fun. I think we can all agree that deja vu is freaking weird, man. And I've had it many times during my waking consciousness, but it's a very brief moment. It's just like a, whoa, what the hell was that? Like again, maybe it is just a neurological glitch.
Oh, deja vu.
Like Neo from the Matrix sees the cat walk past twice. He's like, deja vu. What did you say? Oh no, we've been compromised. But yeah, they're very fleeting moments. But the weirder deja vu experiences that I've had outside of the psychedelic experience is through dreaming, because sometimes I'll enter a dream and it'll be like, I know exactly how this is going to play out. And it's like a premonition, and everything that I predict within the dream actually happens. Now, of course, this is the dreaming space, so it's a lot more weirdness going on. But speaking of weirdness, let's move on to DMT and this strange memory phenomenon of, I've been here before. DMT, or dimethyltryptamine, is an absurdly simple molecule derived from the amino acid tryptophan. And this isn't just any psychedelic. To quote Dennis McKenna, nature is drenched in DMT.
A number of years ago, I thought about the naturally occurring DMT as being the endomatrix. It's what kind of regulates our everyday consensus reality. We just don't know really what is going on with endogenous DMT. The concentrations are quite high, comparable to neurotransmitters like serotonin. So there may be a DMT neurotransmitter system, and it will be very interesting, to see what that regulates and what regulates it. So, stay tuned to the ever unfolding, naturally occurring DMT story.
DMT is known for catapulting users into what feels like alternate realities, often populated by entities, landscapes, or experiences that bizarrely feel similar. But why does this happen? Is this a neurological glitch? Or is this just a go-to reductionist explanation? Is there something more to this? I've had a handful of experiences with smoked DMT, including Changa, and a lot of ayahuasca experiences. And I would say about, a quarter of those experiences, I have this overwhelming sense of familiarity. It's like I'm returning to a space. Yeah, I know this place. I've been here before. And it's a similar feeling of that deja vu that I get while dreaming. Minus the premonition, because I never go into it and be like, yep, I know exactly what's going to happen. But it's like, no, I've just been here before. Like returning to a childhood home. My friend, first and only DMT experience, he didn't go through that hyperlapse entity space because he had his eyes open the whole time and he was with me and my girlfriend at the time, and he looked at us and he's like, he kind of got a little bit paranoid, like he thought we tricked him or something. But he was like, his whole trip was just like, I've been here before. And he's audibly saying this, I've been here before. You're messing with me. We've done this hundreds of times. He's saying this like, dude, like, please tell me you're not messing with me. And we're like, dude, we're not messing with you. This is literally the first time you've ever had it. But he was just so convinced that he's done this many times before, not just once or twice. And I guess his interpretation was that he stepped into a parallel universe, maybe. We're going weird theories here, but, they're more fun to talk about. Maybe the whole reincarnation thing is true and he transcended time and space and he was tapping into that version of reality where he has done it hundreds of times before. It's like a video game. So let's say you're playing Super Mario and then you fall and die and then you have to start again with a new life. But from that linear perspective of Mario within the video game, that's still just his first life. But the player has done it hundreds of times.
Right. Sorry, mate. Wrong path.
That'll be kind of scary. I hope that this is the version of Tom that wins at this game of life,
Ugh. Silly human, I said go left. Left, not right.
I guess the illusion of time becomes much more apparent when you're on high doses of psychedelics, particularly DMT. Sometimes it feels like you've gone through lifetimes in just 10 minutes. Guys, let's talk about this. Like, what the hell is this strange phenomenon? A study published in the Journal of Psychoactive Drugs took a closer look at this enigma. Researchers analyzed self-reported DMT experiences from Reddit, focusing on this eerie sense of, I've been here before. And this is what they found. Familiarity in first-time users. Surprisingly, nearly 25% of these familiarity experiences come from people trying DMT for the first time, debunking the myth that this feeling comes from previous psychedelic use. And again, I can confirm this with my friend who was so like, no, you're messing with me. He's like, mate, we're not freaking messing with you. This is your first time, I swear, on my life. Participants described feeling familiar with the places they visited, the emotions they felt, and even the entities they encountered. But what is behind this? And that is indeed the question. What could explain this? Scientists suggest a few theories. One is the veridical theory, where DMT might brush against real yet inaccessible memories. Another idea is that DMT puts the brain in a highly flexible state, where new experiences can feel strangely known due to the way our neural pathways reactivate. Another theory is that DMT opens us up to an objective reality, an argument commonly supported by the overwhelmingly similar trip reports across user experiences. This is another video, but they're already mapping out hyperspace within the DMT realm.
All of these things we take for granted, but actually they're deeply mysterious. We don't really know what we are, which is one of the reasons I'm so fascinated by Rick Strassman's work. You presented
Yes,
his
sure.
film, DMT, the spirit molecule. Rick has a colleague called Andrew Gallimore, and Rick and Andrew have together developed a technology for releasing DMT into human volunteers in a very slow drip that will keep them in the DMT state, if they wish, for hours on end. It looks like Imperial College London is going to deploy this technology in further research into DMT. It's going to be an investigation into the nature of reality using a psychedelic. When you get plunged into that DMT realm, it is so different from the realm of our daily world, filled with geometry, filled with these sprightly intelligences, completely internally coherent. How can that be, generated by the brain? Or are we dealing with some other level of reality that we haven't encountered yet?
Because remember that with these psychedelic experiences, it's a lot of it is individual, of course, but there are core similarities between many of these archetypes, let's call it, types of entities. If you want to know more about this, check out my DMT Entities Explained video, at least for the entity segment of it. But there are also a lot of emotional experiences, narratives, and landscapes that are incredibly similar, that people from all across the world report the same thing. The objective DMT reality theory is highly speculative but open for question. If you want to take a more spiritual, esoteric approach, you could say that DMT opens us up to a world transcendent of physical reality. Perhaps we feel like we've been there before, because we actually have. Sort of like a spiritual hub we come from before selecting the human character and entering this game of life. Sort of like a game select screen. Now, of course, this isn't a respected hypothesis that came from a really smart scientist, just your mate Tom. He just came up with it now, but it would be a wild theory. Fair to say that the theories are plentiful. Could DMT be unlocking parts of our consciousness or even memories from a collective unconscious? Or is it simply a trick of the brain? A neurological deja vu. The study I mentioned doesn't claim to have all the answers, but it opens up fascinating questions about consciousness, memory, and the nature of reality itself. What if these experiences hint at dimensions or memories we're not consciously aware of in our daily lives? The more speculative theories delve into quantum mechanics and consciousness, suggesting that DMT might allow access to different planes of existence, or parallel universes where one indeed has been there before. A more grounded reductionist hypothesis is the divided attention theory. So this divided attention theory pretty much states that your subconscious mind subliminally absorbs the experience around you that you might not consciously be paying attention to. Just fractions of a second before it enters your awareness, so that when it comes into your conscious experience, you feel this deja vu, like, I've been here before. And it's like, yeah, you have. It's just your subconscious mind processed it quicker because you were focusing elsewhere, or maybe you got overwhelmed. The DMT, or I guess just in psychedelics in general, but that strange memory phenomenon that I think from the study that I read, it's about 25% of people who have that overwhelming sense of familiarity, like, I've been here before. What are your theories on this? Maybe neurologically, spiritually, like what parallel universe, neurological misfire, like what's going on?
Well, I think it has to do with the meaningfulness, the reality, sense that psychedelics seem to produce. And there's obviously brain centers which are mediating that circuitry in the brain, which changes. I just can't keep up with all the brain imaging data coming out. If you just introspect, and besides all those brain imaging studies do is explain how the experiences occur, and you can tell that the experiences occur by paying attention. It's the subjective state which matters, and that subjective feeling is the reality feeling, the meaningfulness, the truthfulness, the reference point, I suppose, for that kind of truthfulness is your home. It's your home. It's where you grew up, if it was more or less satisfactory. Your parents are there, your siblings are there, your stuff is there, your friends are around. It's your world, and I think that can act as a frame of reference or a touchstone for the feeling, which then emerges on psychedelics, which is like the feeling of what it was like as a small being in a safe, secure, happy place. The only place that is your entire universe. So that I think ties in with the sense of familiarity. Which is interesting as well. Like if there are brain centers responsible for meaningfulness and truthfulness, what regulates those brain centers on an everyday moment to moment basis. They're obviously pegged among psychedelics, but what maintains them on a daily basis. So that I think is one of the possible roles of endogenous DMT.
As we continue to explore the frontiers of the mind, DMT's strange memory phenomenon reminds us how much there is to learn about the human brain and consciousness in general. What do you think? Have you experienced something similar? What do you believe deja vu is and this strange DMT memory phenomenon? And if you want to delve deeper into the mysteries of the human mind, check out this video.